How did two girls who started life together end up like this? I still cannot believe it. What really happened between them?
Ended up like this. What really happened? They asked. Welcome to Folk Tales with Nikki, a place where you enjoy interesting African stories. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment and share. Years earlier, in the quiet village of Umweze, two girls were known by everyone. If you saw one, you will surely see the other. Their names were Ada and Chioma. People in the village used to laugh and say, these two are twins from different mothers. Ada was tall and very beautiful. Her skin was smooth, her hair was full, and her teeth were white and perfect. She knew she was beautiful, and she never hid it. In fact, she loved to talk about it. Anytime she stood in front of a mirror, she would smile and say, Ada, you are too fine. No girl in this village can stand near you. Chioma, on the other hand, was also beautiful, but in a calm and quiet way. Her skin was dark and smooth, and her eyes carried intelligence and peace. She did not talk too much. She preferred to read her books, while Ada loved attention. Chioma loved knowledge. But despite their differences, they were best friends, true friends, or so everyone thought. One hot afternoon, everything changed. Ada and Chioma stood in front of a small computer shop in the village. Their hearts were beating fast, sweat ran down their faces. The man inside the shop clicked the mouse slowly and said, Are you girls ready?
Yes,
they nodded.
We are ready.
He opened the
All right.
jam portal.
Let us see
First,
what fate has
Ada's
prepared
result
for you.
appeared. She stared on the
Praise
screen.
God.
Then suddenly,
Congratulations.
I got
You
it.
have been admitted.
She screamed so loud that
got
people
it.
outside
I got admission.
couldn't hear but stare.
Chioma.
I got admission. She jumped up and hugged Chioma tightly. Next, it was Chioma's turn. The man clicked again. Silence filled the room. Then Chioma covered her mouth in shock. Tears filled her eyes. I got it too. The two girls screamed and held each other. They were both admitted into the university. That day, Umwe celebrated them. Their parents were proud. Their future looked bright. That evening, Chioma went outside and looked up at the sky. She closed her eyes and whispered softly, God, please help me. I want to become a nurse. This has always been my dream. Please, see me through. Her voice was calm but full of determination. Ada walked up to her and laughed. Chioma, you and this your serious life. Me, I just want to enjoy myself. Finally, I'm leaving this village. No more parents disturbing me. I will live my life. Chioma smiled gently. We are going to school to learn, Ada. Don't forget that. Ada rolled her eyes. That was one thing she didn't like about Chioma. Chioma was always right. And deep inside, it annoyed her. Weeks later, they arrived at the university. Everything was new. Big buildings, crowded classroom, different kinds of people. Freedom. Real freedom. Chioma adjusted quickly. She attended lectures. She read her books. She made plans for her future. Ada adjusted differently. She admired the campus. She loved the attention from boys. She enjoyed the new freedom, and slowly, without knowing it, she began to change. One evening, the two girls were walking back home after buying suya. The sun was setting, the road was quiet. Suddenly, a shiny car stopped beside them. Ada smiled and said, He's obviously stopping because of me. He can't resist a beautiful girl like me. Chioma ignored her, knowing fully well that was not why she came to school. Ada didn't hesitate. She walked straight to the car. Chioma stayed behind, watching carefully. The car window rolled down. A young man sat inside. He was handsome, very handsome. Ada almost lost her breath, but she controlled herself. Why did you stop us? She asked. The young man smiled. Because I saw a beautiful girl and I couldn't ignore her. Ada smiled. My name is Kingsley, he said. I'm a student of this school. I'm Ada, she replied proudly. And that's my friend Chioma. Kingsley looked at Chioma briefly, then returned his gaze to Ada. Can I give you guys a ride? Ada quickly turned to Chioma. Let's go with him, she whispered. Chioma shook her head immediately. No, it's not safe. We are almost home. Ada tried to convince her, but Chioma refused. Finally, Ada turned back to Kingsley. Sorry, maybe next time. But before leaving, they exchanged numbers. And that moment changed everything. That night, Ada couldn't sleep. She kept smiling at her phone. Kingsley sent her a message, then another, and another. Before the week ended, they started dating. On the other side, at first, Ada and Kingsley's relationship was harmless. Just calls, messages, short visits. But slowly it became something else. Ada began missing lectures. She began coming home late. Sometimes she didn't come home at all. Chioma noticed. She watched her friend change and she became worried. One morning, Chioma said, Ada, we need to talk. Ada looked tired. Please be fast, I need to sleep. Chioma took a deep breath. This relationship is not good for you. You are losing focus. You don't go to class anymore. You stay out all night. Stop, Ada shouted. Chioma froze. Who do you think you are? Ada continued angrily. Are you my mother? I'm your best friend, Chioma said softly. Ada laughed. No, you are jealous. Chioma blinked. Jealous? Yes, Ada said, because I'm more beautiful than you. And Kingsley chose me. Look at you, with your poor boyfriend Henry. Chioma frowned. Henry is not my boyfriend. Whatever, Ada snapped. Just mind your business. Silence filled the room. Chioma looked at her friend, the same friend she grew up with, and slowly said, It's your life, but God knows I warned you. Then she walked away. That was the day their friendship began to break. After that argument, nothing remained the same between Ada and Chioma. They still lived in the same room, they still saw each other every day, but something had broken, something important, and neither of them tried to fix it. Ada became completely lost in her new life. Every evening her phone would ring. Baby, where are you? Kingsley would ask. I'm coming, Ada would reply with a smile. Soon nights turned into parties. Parties turned into clubbing. Clubbing turned into sleeping out. Sometimes she wouldn't return home for 2 days. Her boots gathered dust. Her nose became empty. Her dreams slowly disappeared. On the other side, Chioma chose a different path. She woke up early, attended her lectures, spent long hours reading, and even when she felt tired, she kept going because she remembered her prayer. God, please, see me through. She held on to those words like her life depended on it. One morning, something unexpected happened. Chioma was running late for a test. Her heart was beating fast as she jumped on a bike. Please go faster, she begged. The bike stopped in front of her faculty. She quickly got down. Rip! Her skirt tore from behind. Chioma froze. Her body went cold. Her eyes filled with tears. Students were everywhere. She couldn't move. What do I do now? She whispered. At that moment, a young man walking past noticed her situation. Without hesitation, he removed his sweater and walked up to her. Take this, he said calmly. Chioma looked at him, shocked. Tie it around your waist. She quickly collected it, her hands shaking. Thank you. Thank you very much, she said softly. Then she ran off. As she ran, the young man called out, My name is Henry, Year 3 Mechanical Engineering. Chioma paused briefly, turned and nodded. I will return it, thank you. The next day, Chioma carefully washed the sweater. She folded it neatly and placed it inside a small clean bag. Then she went in search of Henry. Luckily, finding him was easy. Everyone knew him. That's Henry, our class rep, someone pointed. Chioma walked up to him. Hi, I came to return your sweater. Henry smiled warmly. You didn't have to rush. I have to, she replied. You helped me when I needed it most. They both smiled. Then they began talking. Simple conversation, nothing serious, but something about it felt easy and natural. Before she left, they exchanged numbers, and just like that, a new friendship began. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Chioma and Henry became very close. He helped her with difficult topics, encouraged her when she felt tired, made her laugh when she was stressed. And slowly, without saying it, Henry began to fall in love with her. But he was afraid, because Chioma had said many times, I'm not ready for a relationship. I need to focus. So he kept his feelings to himself and stayed by her side quietly, patiently. Meanwhile, Ada's life was falling apart, but she didn't see it, or maybe she refused to see it. One afternoon, her lecturer called her name in class. Ada. Silence. Ada. Student looked around. She hasn't been coming to class, someone whispered. The lecturer shook his head. At this rate, you'll fail this course. Tests came, Ada missed them. Assignments came, she didn't submit them. Exams came, she struggled. And when the results were released, she had multiple carryovers. That night, Ada sat on her bed staring at her paper. Her hands were shaking. No, this can't be happening. But instead of facing reality, she ran to Kingsley. Baby, don't stress yourself, Kingsley said, holding her. School is not everything. Ada rested her head on his chest. You are right, she whispered. And just like that, she ignored the warning signs. But Chioma didn't. She saw everything and it broke her heart. But this time she said nothing because she remembered Ada's words. Mind your business. Time moved forward, relentlessly. Final year came. Chioma stood tall, strong, focused. She had made it. Her dream was close, very close. Ada, she was still in school, struggling, lost. And then the final blow came. One evening, Ada decided to surprise Kingsley. She went to his lodge without calling. She smiled as she knocked on the door. But when the door opened, her smile disappeared. A girl stood there, half-dressed, confused. "Who are you?" the girl asked. Ada's heart stopped. "Where is Kingsley?" Before the girl could answer, Kingsley appeared behind her, shirtless, shocked, silent. In that moment, Ada's words shattered. You said you loved me." Her voice broke. Kingsley sighed. "Ada, it's not what you think." "Not what I think?" she screamed. Tears poured down her face. "How many girls, Kingsley? How many?" He said nothing. And that silence told her everything. Ada ran. She didn't stop. She didn't look back. She just ran. Days later, she discovered something worse. Something she never expected. She was pregnant. Her hands trembled as she held the test result. Tears streamed down her face. "What have I done?" She called Kingsley. He didn't answer. She went to his lodge. He avoided her. When she finally saw him and told him, he laughed. "Ada, you should be careful next time," he said coldly. "I'm not ready for any child." That was the moment Ada understood she was alone. Completely alone. Ada sat alone in her room. The pregnancy test was still in her hand. Her eyes were swollen from crying. Her heart was heavy. Very heavy. For the first time in her life, she had no one to run to. Not Kingsley, not her friends, not even Chioma. Because she remembered everything she had said. "Mind your business, you are jealous." Now, those words echoed in her head like a curse. Days passed. Ada stopped going to school completely. She locked herself inside. She avoided people. But the truth could not be hidden forever. Her body began to change. Her shame grew bigger. Her fear became unbearable. Finally, she made a decision. She packed her things quietly. No goodbye, no explanation. And one early morning, before the sun rose, Ada left the campus. The journey back to Umeze felt longer than ever. Every bump on the road reminded her of her mistakes. Every passing face felt like judgment. She held her small bag tightly and whispered, "God, please forgive me." When she arrived at the village, people noticed immediately. It had been long since they saw her. But this was not the Ada they remembered. This Ada looked broken. As she walked into her father's compound, her mother saw her first. Her voice was filled with surprise, then concern, then fear. "What happened to you?" Ada dropped her bag. Tears rushed down her face. She fell to her knees. "Mama, I'm sorry." Her father came out. His face was hard. "Serious? What is going on here?" Ada couldn't speak. Her mother looked at her closely. Then her eyes moved slowly to Ada's stomach. Silence. Deep silence. "Ada," her mother's voice trembled. Are you pregnant?" Ada broke down completely. She cried like a child. That was the answer. Her father exploded. "What?" His voice shook the entire compound. "You went to school to disgrace this family?" He picked up a stick in anger. "Leave my house. You are no longer my daughter." Ada screamed. Her mother quickly ran and held him. "Please, she's still our child." Tears poured from her eyes. "Where will she go? She's already suffering." The father stood there, breathing heavily. His anger was burning. But slowly he dropped the stick, turned away and walked inside. That day, Ada understood something she had never understood before. Choices have consequences. Months passed. Ada gave birth to a baby boy, a beautiful child. But every time she looked at him, her heart broke because she remembered how she got here. She stayed in the village. No school, no certificate, no future, only regrets. Meanwhile, life was moving forward for Chioma. Chioma had entered her final year with determination. She studied harder than ever. She prayed, she pushed herself, and when the results came, she passed successfully. The day she wore her NYSC uniform for the first time, she stood in front of the mirror and smiled. "Thank you, God," she whispered. Her dream was coming through. Henry was also making progress. After his service year, the company where he did his PPA retained him. A big company, a good salary, a bright future. But more importantly, he still loved Chioma. Before leaving for his NYSC, Henry finally gathered courage. They sat together that evening. The air was calm. Chioma, there's something I want to tell you, he said. Chioma looked at him. Go on. Henry took a deep breath. I know you say relationships are distractions, but I've tried to ignore this feeling, and I can't anymore. He paused. I like you. No. I love you. Silence. Chioma looked at him carefully. Her heart was beating fast. Henry, she sighed softly. You have always been there for me. You have supported me, helped me, respected me. She paused, then smiled gently. Yes, I'll be your girlfriend. Henry couldn't believe it. Happiness filled his face, and from that moment their love story began. 1 year later, it was Chioma's birthday. A beautiful morning. She was at the hospital where she was doing her PPA, and just as she walked out from general outpatient clinic, Chioma, someone is looking for you at the reception. Someone called out to her. She frowned. Who could it be? She walked to the reception, and then she froze. Henry stood there, holding balloons, flowers, a cake. People gathered around singing, Happy birthday to you. Tears filled Chioma's eyes. She ran to him and hugged him tightly. You didn't tell me you were coming. Henry smiled. I wanted to surprise you. Then suddenly he stepped back, knelt down and brought out a ring. The crowd gasped. Chioma Okafor, he said, his voice full of emotion. You are the best thing that has ever happened to me. Will you marry me? The crowd shouted. Say yes, say yes. Chioma covered her mouth. Tears flowed freely. She nodded. Yes, I'll marry you. The crowd cheered loudly. Henry stood up, placed the ring on her finger and hugged her. It was a moment of pure joy, but that joy was about to meet the past because soon, Chioma would return home to Umweze, to the place where everything started, and to the friends she once had. The road to Umweze was dusty and quiet. Chioma sat inside the bus, looking at the window. Her heart was full of gratitude, full of excitement, because she can't wait to meet her parents. And somewhere deep inside, a little nervous, because she knew she might see Ada again. As the bus entered the village, memories rushed back. The laughter, the dreams, the friendship, everything felt like yesterday. When Chioma got down, people gathered around her. Chioma, our nurse, we are proud of you. You have done well. She smiled and greeted everyone respectfully, but her eyes were searching, looking for one person. When she finally reached her family house, her mother couldn't contain her joy. Her father was proud of her. Her mother danced around as she sang praises to God who had helped her child to return home safely. Ada dropped her bag and stepped outside again. Then she saw her. Ada. She was sitting quietly under a tree, a baby tied to her back. Her face looked older, tired, different. For a moment, both of them just stared at each other. No words, just silence, filled with memories. Then Ada slowly stood up. Her lips trembled, her eyes filled with tears. Chioma, her voice broke. Chioma walked closer. Her heart was beating fast. Suddenly, Ada fell to her knees. I am sorry, she cried loudly. Chioma froze. I am so sorry for everything, Ada continued, tears pouring down her face. All the things I said, all the insults, all the pride. I was wrong. The baby on her back shifted slightly. Ada held him gently. You warned me, but I didn't listen. She said, her voice shaking. Now look at me. I have nothing, no degree, no future, just this child and regrets. Chioma's eyes filled with tears. She slowly bent down and held Ada's shoulders. Stand up, she said softly. Ada shook her head. I don't deserve your kindness. Chioma gently lifted her up. Then she pulled her into a hug. A long, tight, emotional hug. It's in the past, Chioma whispered. I have forgiven you. Ada cried harder. Don't give up on your life, Chioma continued. Yes, you made mistakes, but your life is not over. Ada looked at her surprised. You can still go back to school, Chioma said, or learn a skill. Do something for yourself and for your child. Ada held her baby tighter, tears still flowing. Do you really think I still have a chance? Chioma smiled slightly. As long as you are alive, you always have a chance. At that moment, something changed inside Ada. For the first time in a long time, she felt hope. I will try, he said softly. I promise, I will try. The two friends held each other again, not as before, but stronger, wiser, and changed. Days passed. Wedding preparations began. Ada stayed close to Chioma, helping her, supporting her, learning again what true friendship meant. The whole village was excited. It was not just a wedding. It was a celebration of success, of discipline, of love. On the wedding day, Chioma looked beautiful, radiant, peaceful, fulfilled. Her parents couldn't stop smiling. "You've made us proud," her father said. Henry stood tall and handsome. His eyes never left Chioma. When Chioma walked down the aisle, everywhere became quiet. Even the wind seemed to pause. Henry held her hands, looked into her eyes and smiled. "Finally, my love," he whispered. They exchanged vows, rings, promises. Their parents prayed for them, blessed them. The crowd cheered. Music played. Joy filled the air. Ada stood at a corner, holding her child, watching everything. Tears rolled down her face, but this time they were not just tears of pain. They were tears of realization. "This could have been me," she whispered. But then she remembered Chioma's words. "You still have a chance." She looked at her baby. "I will not fail again," she said quietly. By evening, the ceremony ended beautifully. Later that night, Henry and Chioma arrived at their new home. The room was calm, peaceful, filled with love. Henry looked at Chioma with deep affection. "My love, Atalugum, my beautiful wife, the one God has given me. We are now one." Chioma blushed and fell into his arms. "Yes, my husband, I'm all yours." They both smiled, knowing that life would not always be easy, but they were ready to face everything together. And somewhere in the same village, a young woman sat with her child, thinking, planning, determined to rise again, because life always gives a second chance. Final question: if you were Chioma, would you have forgiven Ada after everything she did, or would you have walked away forever? Thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.